So when I say Tokyo, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of people, it's just one thing. It's sheer size. That endless sea of skyscrapers and neon. But in this explainer, we're going to look past that scale, because the real story of Tokyo is actually a story of these incredible, fascinating contrasts. Let's dive into the beautiful contradictions that make this city truly one of a kind.
Okay, let's start with the big one, 37 million. Just let that number sink in for a second. That's how many people live in the greater Tokyo area. That makes it, and it's not even close, the largest urban agglomeration on the entire planet. We're talking more people than the entire country of Canada, all packed into one sprawling megacity.
And a number that big, well, it brings up a huge question, doesn't it? How does a city like this even function? I mean, how does it not just completely collapse under its own weight? It almost feels impossible.
Well, the thing is, the answer isn't some single, simple policy or a piece of tech. The real secret is found in these beautiful contradictions, these contrasts that define every single part of the city. To really get Tokyo, you have to understand its dual nature.
And our first contrast is maybe the most dramatic one. It's this constant dance between a really ancient past and a hyper-modern future, all built on a history of constant reinvention. This timeline here, it shows this incredible pattern. The city starts out as Edo, becomes this huge center of power. Then bam, in 1868, it's reborn as Tokyo. But just look at the 20th century. Twice, it's almost completely wiped off the map. First by the Great Kanto earthquake, then by firebombing in World War II. And yet, each time it just rebuilds. It all leads up to the 1964 Olympics, which was basically Tokyo announcing to the entire world we're back and more futuristic than ever. This cycle of destruction and rebirth, it's literally coded into the city's DNA.
And if you want to know about its humble beginnings, just look at its original name, Edo. It means entrance to the bay. That's all it was, a small fishing village, just a gateway to the water.
But then you get its new name, Tokyo, which means Eastern Capital, and that signifies this seismic shift in power. It was a clear statement that the center of Japan had moved from the old, historic capital of Kyoto to this new, energetic city in the east.
And this is the result, this deep duality you see today. I mean, the city's foundations are rooted in this world of shoguns and samurai, a culture you can still feel. But built right on top of that same soil is a world leader in robotics, anime, and the tech startups of Shibuya's Bit Valley. The past isn't gone, it's the launch pad for the future. All right, let's move on to our next contrast. And this one might be the most surprising, especially if you've never been. It's the balance between the most intense urban environment you can possibly imagine and these pockets of just profound, quiet nature. So first, you've got the urban jungle side. This is the Tokyo you see in movies, right? The Shibuya crossing, with thousands of people just pouring across the street in this perfectly organized chaos. The train network looks like a crazy complex circuit board. It doesn't have one city center, it has multiple, each with its own forest of skyscrapers. And of course, there's Akihabara, the electric town, just this dazzling hub of anime and electronics. It's pure, high-energy density. But then, in the middle of all that, you get this. Just a stone's throw from the chaos, you can find the Meiji Jingu Shrine, a massive, man-made forest so quiet you'd completely forget you're in a city of 37 million people. The most climbed mount in the world, Mount Takayo, is inside the city limits. And believe it or not, Tokyo's official boundary extends 1,000 kilometers out into the Pacific Ocean, covering actual tropical islands. It's a city of concrete and cherry blossoms, living side by side. This brings us to our third contrast, the way Tokyo acts as this huge engine for the global economy, while at the same time being run by a uniquely local, really complex political structure that's facing some very specific local problems. I mean, on the world stage, Tokyo is an absolute titan. It's a top-tier financial center with the Tokyo Stock Exchange. It has more Fortune Global 500 company headquarters than almost any other city on Earth. Its tech scene is, of course, legendary, and tourism is a massive, massive industry. It is, without a doubt, one of the most powerful economic hubs in the world. But the way it's governed is incredibly local and layered. See, it's not just one city. The Tokyo metropolis is actually a special kind of prefecture. At its core, you have these 23 special wards, like Shinjuku and Shibuya, and each one basically operates with the power of its own city, with its own mayor and council. Then you add in the suburbs of the Tama area and those remote islands. It's this complex mosaic of different governments, all trying to manage a single urban beast.
And that whole local structure has to deal with this constant existential threat. Because all of that global power is packed into a really active seismic zone, there's a serious, long-standing debate about moving Japan's capital functions somewhere else. The fear is that one major earthquake could completely paralyze the entire national government. It's a pretty stark reminder of just how vulnerable the city is.
So, where does all this lead? Well, that brings us to our final and maybe the most profound contrast of all, one that's all about the city's immediate future.
You see, for its entire modern history, from the days of Edo to right now, the story of Tokyo has been a story of relentless, seemingly endless growth. More people, bigger buildings. But for the first time ever, that fundamental, defining trait is about to completely flip.
This chart tells a remarkable story. After centuries of just going up, fueled by people moving in from all over Japan, projections show that Tokyo's population is set to finally peak right around the year 2025. And after that, for the first time, it's going to start a slow, steady decline. The era of unstoppable growth is over.
So as we've seen, Tokyo really is a city that's defined by these powerful tensions, right? You have this ancient history that's fueling a futuristic present. You have an intense urban jungle hiding serene nature, a global economic engine that's facing these unique local threats, and now a long history of explosive growth that's giving way to a new reality of decline. Which of course leaves us with one final big question. For a city that has always rebuilt, always grown, and always reinvented itself through its contrasts, what happens now? As Tokyo enters this completely new chapter, what new contradictions, what new contrasts will end up defining its future?